My 8-year-old son came home, hugged me and whispered, "They ate at a restaurant while I waited in the car for 2 hours." I didn't ask questions. I just grabbed my keys, drove to the parents' house, walked in, and without thinking twice, I did this. They left my 8-year-old son alone in a parked car while they went to a restaurant and had lunch for over 2 hours. That was the first sentence out of his mouth when he came home. He didn't cry. He didn't get angry. He didn't even seem confused. He just walked in, hugged me like nothing had happened, and quietly said those words. They went to a restaurant. I waited in the car for 2 hours. I stood there in our kitchen, not really processing what I just heard. My hands were shaking, and I wasn't sure if it was rage or disbelief, but I didn't ask any questions. Not yet. I didn't want to force him to explain something that should never have happened in the first place. I told him to stay inside, grabbed my keys, and left. 10 minutes later, I was standing in the entryway of the house I bought for my parents. They were sitting in the living room like it was any other lazy afternoon. My mom was folding a basket of towels. My dad had a glass of iced tea in his hand. The TV was playing something none of them were paying attention to. Neither of them even asked why I was there. I told them plainly, "You have 24 hours to pack up your things. You're leaving this house." My mom froze. My dad looked at me like I was speaking another language. I repeated it. My dad laughed like this was some kind of joke. Like I hadn't just said I knew they left their own grandson locked in a car like he was nothing. My mom looked nervous for the first time in years. I asked them if it was true. They didn't deny it. My mom said he didn't want to come in, that he was being fussy, throwing a bit of a tantrum before they got to the restaurant. And they figured it would be better to let him sit in the car. My dad added that it was only 2 hours and that they checked on him halfway through. They had gone to eat at a nice Italian restaurant with my sister, her 2 kids. And apparently not a second thought about the fact that they'd left their grandson sitting in the back of a hot car with the windows cracked and no air conditioning. They had made a reservation for 5, my parents, my sister, her daughter, her son, no seat for my kid. They didn't forget him, they excluded him on purpose. That's why. My mom said he'd been too much lately, that her other grandkids were easier, more polite, more predictable. They knew how to act in a restaurant unlike him. That's when I stopped listening. I'd known for a long time that my parents favored my sister. Everyone in the family knew it. They'd sold their old home and used the money to buy her an apartment and help her open a boutique that went under in less than a year. When I confronted them about it back then, they said they trusted me to be fine on my own, that she needed more help. I didn't argue. I kept helping them when they needed it. Paid their utility bills without being asked, buylaid them out when their car broke down. I even bought the house they were sitting in, transferred it to their name, didn't ask for anything in return. But this wasn't about favoritism anymore. This was about cruelty. You don't leave a child alone like that. You don't isolate an 8-year-old while you're laughing over plates of pasta and drinks with your favorite grandchildren. You don't discard someone that young because they're not as easy or convenient. I told them again 24 hours. Get out. My mom tried to defend it. She said I was overreacting, that he was safe. That he was fine. My dad said maybe next time I should teach my kid how to behave if I want him to be included. That was the moment I realized I didn't recognize either of them anymore. I turned around and left, drove home. My son was on the couch watching a cartoon. He didn't say anything when I walked in and I didn't bring it up. Not yet, but I knew one thing. They were never going to be near him again. I thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. That was just the first crack in a wall that had been holding back years of things I hadn't seen clearly until now. The next morning I got a call from my sister, not my parents, her. She didn't even ask how my son was. She got right to the point accusing me of overreacting and creating drama where there wasn't any. I didn't even ask how she found out so quickly because I already knew. My mom had called her the night before, crying and twisting the story like she always did. Apparently in their version of events, I'd burst into their homes screaming, thrown papers at them, and stormed out threatening to leave them homeless over a small misunderstanding. What they left out was the part where they left a child in a car. I told her she wasn't part of the conversation and I hung up. Then I made it official. That afternoon, I had a lawyer draft a termination of occupancy notice, effective immediately. Technically, I still own the house. I transferred it to them under a private agreement, but the title was in my name. I had let them live there for free. Property taxes, maintenance, insurance, all of it came out of my pocket. I printed the document and drove back over. I didn't even go inside this time. I left the letter in the mailbox, took a picture, and texted my dad to check his mail. Within an hour, I got a string of furious messages from both of them. My mom sent screenshots of old receipts from when they helped me after college like she was cashing in a tap 2 decades late. My dad tried guilt, said I was tearing the family apart over a misunderstood dinner, but I wasn't angry anymore. I was calm, cold even. I replied to my dad with one sentence, "You left an 8-year-old in a car for 2 hours. There's nothing to misunderstand." He didn't respond after that. My sister did, though. She showed up at my house that evening unannounced. I saw her car pull into the driveway through the kitchen window, and I already knew what this was going to be. She didn't knock. She just walked in like she still had that kind of access to my life. My son was upstairs in his room doing homework. I stood in the hallway and waited. She came in with her arms crossed, that tight-lipped look she always wore when she thought she was about to set someone straight. "You need to stop this," she said. Not hello, not how's your son. Just that. I didn't move. Stop what exactly? This whole thing with mom and dad, you're being ridiculous. He's fine, nothing happened to him. I felt my jaw tighten, but I kept my voice level. They left him in a car, alone, for over 2 hours, while they ate lunch with you and your kids. She waved her hand like she was swatting away something irrelevant. He didn't want to come inside. Mom said he was having a meltdown in the parking lot. What were they supposed to do, drag him in kicking and screaming? They were supposed to take him home, I said. Or call me. Or literally anything other than leaving him locked in a car. She rolled her eyes. You're acting like they abandoned him on the side of the road. They checked on him. The windows were cracked. It wasn't even that hot. I stared at her, really looked at her, and I realized she genuinely believed what she was saying. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't covering for them. She actually thought this was normal. Get out, I said quietly, her face changed. Excuse me, I said get out, I don't want you in my house. She laughed, actually laughed. You're kicking me out now too, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I repeated. What's wrong with you? You sat there, you ate lunch with them. You knew he was outside in that car and you didn't say a word. Her expression shifted, just slightly, enough for me to know I was right. I thought Mom handled it, she said, but her voice was quieter now. You didn't think anything, you didn't care. Because he's not your kid, and it was easier to just go along with it. She opened her mouth to argue, but I cut her off. You made a reservation for 5 people. You, your 2 kids, and Mom and Dad. You didn't even ask where my son was going to sit. Her face flushed. That's not Mom made the reservation. And you went along with it. She didn't say anything. Leave, I said again. This time she did. She turned around and walked out without another word. I locked the door behind her and stood there for a long time just breathing. Upstairs I could hear my son moving around in his room. I thought about going up there, sitting down with him, asking him how he really felt. But I didn't. Not yet. I needed to finish this first. The eviction process moved faster than I expected. Turns out when you own the house outright and the occupants have no lease, no rental agreement, and no legal standing, it's not complicated. My lawyer was efficient. Within a week, I had a court-ordered notice of eviction filed and served. My parents tried to fight it. They hired a lawyer who sent me a letter claiming elder abuse and financial exploitation. It was almost funny. I'd given them a house, paid for everything, asked for nothing. And now I was exploiting them. My lawyer sent back a single-page response with a timeline of every payment I'd made on their behalf over the last 6 years. Utilities, repairs, property tax, insurance, car payments, Medical bills I'd covered when they didn't want to dip into their savings. It added up to over $90,000. Their lawyer stopped responding after that. 2 weeks later, they were out. I didn't go to the house while they packed. I didn't want to see them. I hired a moving company to box up anything they left behind and put it in a storage unit under their name. Paid for 3 months up front. After that, it was their problem. I changed the locks. Had the place cleaned and listed it for rent. I didn't sell it. I thought about it. But I didn't want them to think they'd gotten anything out of this. They moved in with my sister. I only knew because my mom sent me a text a few days later. "We're staying with your sister now. I hope you're happy." I didn't respond. A month went by, then 2. My son stopped asking about them. At first, he'd mention Grandma and Grandpa in passing, wondering when we'd see them again. I kept my answers vague. "Not right now. We'll see. Maybe later." But eventually, he stopped asking. I didn't know if that was a good thing or not. One night, about 6 weeks after everything happened, he came into the living room while I was reading. He stood there in his pajamas holding a stuffed bear he'd had since he was 3. "Dad." "Yeah, bud. Did I do something wrong?" I put the book down. "No, why would you think that?" He shrugged. Looked down at the floor. "Grandma said I was too much, that I didn't know how to act." My chest tightened. I hadn't realized he'd heard that. I patted the couch next to me and he climbed up. I put my arm around him. "You didn't do anything wrong," I said. "Nothing at all." "Then why did they leave me in the car?" There it was, the question I'd been avoiding. I took a breath. Sometimes adults make really bad choices, and sometimes those choices hurt people, especially people they're supposed to take care of. He looked up at me. "Like me?" "Yeah." "Like you." He was quiet for a minute. Then he asked, "Are we still a family?" I pulled him closer. "You and me, always, we're the family that matters." He nodded, didn't say anything else. Just leaned against me and we sat there until he fell asleep. I carried him upstairs and tucked him in, and when I went back downstairs, I finally let myself feel it. The anger, the grief. The betrayal, not just for what they'd done to him, but for all the years I'd spent trying to hold everything together while they slowly made it clear I was never going to be enough. I poured myself a drink, sat in the dark, and decided I was done trying. 3 months after the eviction, my sister called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "What? We need to talk." "No, we don't. Mom's in the hospital." I didn't say anything. "Did you hear me?" she asked. "Mom's in the hospital. She had a fall. Broke her hip." "Okay." Silence on the other end. "That's it, just okay. What do you want me to say?" "I want you to care." Her voice was rising now. "She's your mother. She's hurt. And you're acting like she's a stranger." "She made her choices," I said. "This is mine." "You're unbelievable." "I'm done, Sarah. I'm done pretending this is a family that actually functions. I'm done being the one who shows up and fixes things while everyone else just takes." "You're being selfish." I laughed, couldn't help it. "I'm selfish. I gave them a house. I paid their bills. I showed up every single time they needed something, and they repaid me by leaving my son in a car because he wasn't as easy as your kids." "That's not." "Yeah, it is, and you know it." "You were there." She didn't respond. "How's it going, by the way?" I asked. "Having them live with you." Another pause. "It's fine." "Really?" "Because I remember you telling me once that you could never live with them full time. That mom drives you crazy after more than 2 days. People change." "No, they don't." "You're just realizing what I already knew." I could hear her breathing on the other end. "She's asking for you," Sarah said quietly. "I don't care. She's your mother." She stopped acting like it a long time ago. I hung up, turned my phone off, and went to check on my son. 16:47, he was in his room building something with Legos. Looked up when I walked in. "Hey, Dad, can you help me with this part?" I sat down on the floor next to him. We built in silence for a while. Just the clicking of plastic pieces snapping together. "Dad, yeah, is Grandma okay?" I looked at him. "Your aunt told you." He shook his head. "I heard you on the phone." Of course he did. "I should have gone outside." "She'll be fine," I said. "She broke her hip, but the doctors will fix it." He nodded, kept building. Then, without looking up, "Do you think she misses me?" That question hit harder than I expected. I don't know, Bud. I miss her sometimes, he said quietly. Is that bad? I put down the Lego piece I was holding. No, it's not bad, she's your grandmother. It's okay to miss her, but she left me in the car. I know, and you're mad at her. I am, he finally looked at me. But you're not mad at me for missing her. Never. He seemed to think about that, then went back to building. We finished the spaceship he was working on. He put it on his shelf next to the others. I kissed him goodnight and closed the door. Downstairs, I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls. 12 from my sister, 3 from my dad. 2 from numbers I didn't recognize. I deleted all of them without listening to the voicemails. Then I blocked my sister's number. I thought that would be the end of it. But 2 days later, someone knocked on my door at 7 in the morning. I was making breakfast. My son was still asleep. I looked through the peephole. My father, I almost didn't open it. But something about the way he was standing there, shoulders slumped, looking older than I'd ever seen him, made me turn the lock. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. What do you want? He looked at me, didn't say anything for a moment, just stood there. Your mother wants to see you. No, she's asking for you every day. The nurses say she keeps saying your name. I said no. He shifted his weight, looked uncomfortable. Look, I know you're angry. I'm not angry anymore, I interrupted. I'm done. There's a difference. She's your mother. You keep saying that like it means something. His face hardened. There it was, the look I'd seen my whole life when I didn't do what he wanted. You're really going to do this? He asked. You're going to abandon her when she needs you? I almost laughed. Abandon her. Like you abandoned my son in a parking lot. That's not what happened. Then what happened, Dad? Explain it to me. Because from where I'm standing. You left an 8-year-old alone in a car for 2 hours so you could have lunch with your favorite grandchildren. He didn't want to come in, so you called me to come get him. Or you took him home, or you brought him food outside. You didn't just leave him there. We checked on him. You checked on him halfway through, I said. That means for an hour, you sat in that restaurant knowing he was alone, and then you went back inside and kept eating. He didn't have an answer for that. Did you even bring him anything? I asked. Any food, anything to drink? Silence. You didn't, did you? We thought. You didn't think. That's the problem. He ran his hand over his face. Look tired. What do you want from me? He asked. You want me to say I'm sorry? Fine, I'm sorry. I don't want anything from you. Then what? You're just going to cut us off forever. Never speak to us again? Yes. The word hung in the air between us. He stared at me like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. You'd really do that? Over this? This isn't over one thing, Dad. This is over everything. Every time you chose Sarah over me, every time you made it clear I was the backup. The one who didn't need help because I could handle things myself. You sold your house and bought her an apartment. You helped her open a business. When I asked for help with my student loans, you told me you didn't have the money. She needed it more. She needed it, or she asked for it, because I never asked, I just handled it. And you took that to mean I didn't need you. His jaw tightened. This is about money. No, this is about the fact that you've never treated me like I mattered as much as she does. And when I gave you a house, paid your bills, showed up every single time you needed something, you still couldn't treat my son with basic decency. We made a mistake. You made a choice. And I'm making mine. I started to close the door. He put his hand out to stop it. Wait. Move your hand, Dad. Just listen. No, I'm done listening. I listened my whole life. I listened when you told me Sarah needed more support. I listened when you said I was overreacting about the favoritism. I listened when you made excuses for why you couldn't help me, but you could help her. I'm done. Your mother is in the hospital. I know. And you're not coming. No, something in his face changed, hardened. Fine, he said. You want to be selfish, go ahead. But don't expect us to be there when you need something someday. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I realized he still didn't get it. He thought this was leverage. That he could threaten me with abandonment as if he hadn't already done that years ago. I don't need you, I said quietly. I haven't needed you for a long time. I just didn't realize it until you left my son in that car. I closed the door, locked it, heard him stand there for another minute before his footsteps finally moved away. I went back to the kitchen, finished making breakfast. My son came downstairs a few minutes later, rubbing his eyes. "Who was that?" "Nobody," I said. He sat down at the table. I put a plate in front of him. We ate in silence, and I felt lighter than I had in months. The weeks turned into months. My mother recovered from her hip surgery. I knew because Sarah sent me an email, not a text, an email like this was a business transaction. Subject line, "Mom's recovery update." I didn't open it, just archived it. Then blocked her email too. My son started seeing a therapist, not because he asked, but because his teacher called me one afternoon and said he'd been quieter in class, less engaged. She asked if anything had happened at home. I told her the basics. She recommended someone, Dr. Patricia Chen, specialized in childhood trauma and family dynamics. I made an appointment. The first session was just the two of us. Dr. Chen asked me to explain what happened. I gave her the short version. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "How are you doing with all this?" I hadn't expected that question. "I'm fine, I'm worried about my son." "I understand, but you experienced a betrayal too, from your parents." "That matters." I didn't know what to say to that. "We'll work with your son," she said, "but I'd recommend you consider talking to someone as well. What you're describing is a significant rupture in your family system." I told her I'd think about it. The next week, my son had his first solo session with her. I sat in the waiting room reading emails on my phone. When he came out 45 minutes later, he seemed okay. "How was it?" I asked on the drive home. "Good." "She's nice. What did you talk about?" "Stuff." "What kind of stuff?" He shrugged. "Just stuff about feelings and things." I didn't push, Doctor. Chen had told me he might not want to share details, and that was okay. The therapy was for him, not for me. We went every week, sometimes twice a week. After about a month, Doctor Chen asked to meet with me again. "He's doing well," she said. "He's processing things in a healthy way. That's good. He talks about you a lot." "Yeah, he feels safe with you. He knows you protected him." I felt my throat tighten. "But he's also confused," she continued. "He doesn't understand why his grandparents would do what they did. He's trying to make sense of whether it was his fault. I've told him it wasn't. I know, and that helps, but children internalize things differently than adults. He heard your mother say he was too much, that he didn't know how to behave. Those words stuck with him." I felt anger rising again. "What can I do?" "Keep doing what you're doing. Be consistent. Be present. Don't speak negatively about your parents in front of him, but don't lie to him either if he asks questions. I haven't talked to them since this happened." "I know." "He mentioned that. Does he want me to?" She considered the question. "I think he's conflicted. Part of him misses them. Part of him understands why you made the choice you did. He's trying to hold both of those things at the same time. Is that okay? Is he going to be okay?" "Yes," she said. "He's resilient, and he has you. That's the most important thing." I left that session feeling both relieved and exhausted. That night, I took my son out for ice cream. We sat outside the shop even though it was cold. He got chocolate chip, I got coffee. "Dr. Chen says you're doing good," I said. He nodded, licked his cone. "She's easy to talk to." "I'm glad." We sat in silence for a minute. Then he said, "Dad." "Yeah, do you think Grandma and Grandpa know they hurt me?" I thought about how to answer that, settled on honesty. "I think they know they made a mistake. But I don't think they understand how big of a mistake it was, because they don't think it was that bad." "Yeah, but it was bad." "It was." He finished his ice cream. Wiped his hands on a napkin. "I'm glad you got mad," he said. I looked at him. "You are?" "Yeah, because it means you care." I reached over and ruffled his hair. "I'll always care, bud." "Always," he smiled, small but real. We drove home and watched a movie before bed, and for the first time in a long time, things felt almost normal. 6 months after everything happened, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email, an actual letter, handwritten, from my mother. I almost threw it away without opening it. But curiosity got the better of me. I sat down at the kitchen table, opened it. The handwriting was shaky, probably from the hip injury. It was 2 pages long. Dear son, I hope this letter finds you well. I've been wanting to reach out for months, but I didn't know how. Your father said you won't take our calls, and Sarah said you've blocked her number. I understand you're angry. I understand you feel we made a terrible mistake. But I want you to know that I never meant to hurt your son. I never meant to hurt you. That day at the restaurant, I genuinely thought he would be fine in the car. He was having such a difficult time in the parking lot, throwing a fit, and I thought maybe some quiet time alone would help him calm down. I didn't realize how long we'd been inside. Time got away from me. I know that's not an excuse. I know I should have handled it differently. But please understand, I was trying to do what I thought was best in the moment. I miss you. I miss my grandson. I think about him every day. I wonder how he's doing in school, if he's made new friends, if he still likes those Lego sets you always buy him. I know I made mistakes as a mother. I know I wasn't always fair, but I did my best with what I knew, and I'm asking you now, as your mother, to please consider giving me another chance. I'm not asking you to forget what happened. I'm asking you to forgive. Love, Mom. I read it twice. Then I folded it back up, put it in the envelope, and threw it in the trash. I didn't tell my son about the letter, didn't see the point. 2 weeks later, another one came, this time from my father. Shorter, more direct. Son, your mother is heartbroken. She cries almost every night asking what she did to lose you. I'm asking you man to reconsider this. Family is supposed to forgive. That's what family does. We made a mistake. We've admitted that. What more do you want from us? Your son is fine. He's moved on. Why can't you? Dad, I read that one once. Threw it away immediately. The thing that struck me most wasn't what he said. It was what he didn't say. No apology. No acknowledgement of the real issue. Just confusion about why I couldn't get over it. Like it was a minor inconvenience I was blowing out of proportion. 3 days after that letter, my sister showed up at my office. I worked at a consulting firm downtown. She somehow got past security and was waiting in the lobby when I came back from lunch. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. I walked past her toward the elevators. She followed. Mom's not doing well. This whole thing is killing her. I pressed the button, didn't look at her. You're destroying this family, she continued, over something that wasn't even that serious. The elevator dinged, doors opened. I stepped inside. She tried to follow, but I put my hand out. Don't, you can't ignore this forever. Watch me. The doors closed. I stood there breathing hard, hands shaking. When I got back to my desk, I called building security and told them she wasn't allowed in the building anymore. Added her to the restricted list. Then I called my lawyer. I need a cease and desist letter, I said. Family members showing up at my home and workplace. He didn't ask questions, had it drafted by end of day. I had it served to all 3 of them. My parents, my sister. The letter was clear. No contact, no visits, no letters, no third-party communications. Violation would result in a restraining order. It felt extreme, but I was tired. Tired of defending my decision. Tired of being made to feel like I was the unreasonable one. Tired of having to relive what they did every time one of them reached out. After the cease and desist went out, everything went quiet. No more letters, no more visits, no more phone calls from numbers I didn't recognize, just silence. My son turned 9. We had a party at a trampoline park. He invited 12 kids from school. They jumped and played and ate pizza and cake. He was laughing, really laughing. The kind of uninhibited joy I hadn't seen from him in almost a year. At one point during the party, he ran up to me. Dad, this is the best birthday ever. Yeah. Thanks for doing this. He hugged me quick and ran back to his friends. I stood there watching him, and I realized he was okay. We were okay without them. That night after all the kids went home and we were cleaning up, he said something that stayed with me. I'm glad it's just us, Dad. I looked at him. You are, he nodded. It's easier. Less confusing. What do you mean? He shrugged. With Grandma and Grandpa, I always felt like I had to be different, like I was supposed to be quieter or better behaved or something. But with you, I can just be me. My chest felt tight. You can always be you, bud. That's all I ever want, he smiled. I know. We finished cleaning up, drove home. He fell asleep in the car. I carried him inside and put him to bed. And I realized that everything I'd done, every hard decision, every door I'd closed had been worth it, because he felt safe. He felt like he could be himself. And that was all that mattered. A year passed, then another. Life moved forward. My son thrived, made the honor roll, joined the soccer team, started taking guitar lessons. He had friends. Good friends, kids who came over for sleepovers and video game tournaments. Parents I actually liked talking to at pickup. We built a life, just the two of us. Simple, stable, peaceful. I dated someone for a few months. A woman named Jennifer I met through a friend. She was kind, patient, good with my son. It didn't work out long-term, but it was nice while it lasted. Reminded me that I could let people in, that not everyone would hurt us. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that my sister's boutique had failed again. Second attempt, same result. Part of me felt vindicated. Another part just felt sad. Sad that she'd never learned, that my parents had enabled her to the point where she couldn't stand on her own. I heard they were helping her again, financially. Even though they claimed to have no money when I'd asked for help years ago, I didn't dwell on it. It wasn't my problem anymore. My son stopped asking about them entirely. Dr. Chen said that was normal, that children are adaptable, that he'd integrated the experience and moved on. Will he want to reconnect when he's older? I asked her during one of our quarterly check-ins. Maybe, she said, maybe not. That'll be his choice to make when he's ready. And if he does, then you support him, but you also get to maintain your own boundaries. That made sense. On what would have been my son's 11th birthday with his grandparents, he didn't mention them once. We went to an amusement park, rode roller coasters until we were dizzy. Ate overpriced theme park food, took ridiculous photos. It was perfect. That night, tucking him into bed, he said something unexpected. Dad, yeah, thanks for picking me. I sat down on the edge of his bed. What do you mean? That day, when Grandma and Grandpa left me in the car, you picked me. You chose me over them. My throat felt tight. I'll always pick you, bud, always. I know, that's why I'm not sad anymore. You were sad, he nodded, for a while. I felt like maybe I was the problem, like maybe if I'd been better they would have treated me different. You were never the problem. I know that now. Dr. Chen helped me understand that. And you showed me. How? By not going back to them, by staying away even when they asked you to come back. It showed me that what they did was really wrong. That it wasn't just me being sensitive or whatever. I pulled him into a hug, held him tight. You are perfect exactly as you are, I said. Don't ever forget that. I won't. I kissed the top of his head, turned off his light, closed the door, and I stood in the hallway for a long moment just breathing, grateful, for him, for us. For the life we'd built. 5 years after I'd evicted my parents, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello, is this? The voice paused, cleared. Is this about your mother? Who is this? I'm calling from Mercy General Hospital. Your mother was brought in this morning. She's listed you as her emergency contact. I felt my stomach drop. I'm not her emergency contact. According to our records, I don't care what your records say. I haven't spoken to her in 5 years. Silence on the other end. I understand this is difficult, but she's asking for you. It's serious. I closed my eyes. What happened? She had a stroke. A significant one. We don't know yet what the long-term effects will be, but right now she's stable. Is my father there? He passed away 2 years ago. I'm sorry, I assumed you knew. The world tilted. My father was dead. 2 years I hadn't known. No one had told me. Is there anyone else? The nurse asked. My sister, Sarah. She should be the contact. We've tried reaching her. She's not answering. Of course she wasn't. I can't help you, I said. Sir, she's asking for you specifically. She keeps saying your name. I'm sorry, I can't. I hung up, sat down, stared at the wall. My father was dead, I felt. Nothing, empty. Should I feel something? Grief, relief, regret? I didn't know. My son was at school, wouldn't be home for another 3 hours. I sat there alone in the quiet house and tried to process what I'd just learned. My father was gone, had been gone for 2 years. And no one told me. Did they have a funeral? Did people ask about me? Did my sister tell them I'd cut them off? Did they paint me as the villain? Probably. I pulled out my phone. Googled his name and obituary. Found it immediately. James Morrison, 74, passed away peacefully on March 15th, surrounded by family. He is survived by his wife, Patricia, his daughter Sarah, and his 2 grandchildren. It went on, listed his career, his hobbies, his community involvement. At the bottom it said, in lieu of flowers, donations can be made too. No mention of me. No mention of my son. Surrounded by family, I guess we didn't count. I closed the browser. Deleted the search history, and went back to staring at the wall. When my son came home from school, I was still sitting there. Dad, you okay? I looked up. Yeah, I'm fine. He dropped his backpack. Studied my face. You don't look fine, I sighed. Come sit with me. He sat. Your grandfather died, I said, 2 years ago. His eyes widened. Grandpa, yeah. Why didn't anyone tell us? I don't know, he processed that. And your grandmother had a stroke today, I continued. The hospital called. She's asking for me. Are you going to go? No. Why not? Because nothing's changed. What they did to you, what they did to us, that doesn't go away because she's sick. He nodded slowly. Do you want to go? I asked. He thought about it, really thought about it, then shook his head. No, I don't think so. You sure? Yeah, she's not my grandma anymore. Not really. I barely remember her. That hurt to hear, but it was also true. 5 years. He'd been 8. Now he was 13, half his life ago. She was a stranger to him now. Okay, I said. We sat there together, father and son, the family that mattered, and I realized I'd made peace with my decision a long time ago. This was just confirmation. My mother died 3 days later. I found out from the hospital, same nurse who'd called before, she sounded tired. I wanted to let you know, she passed this morning. Okay, thank you for letting me know. There are arrangements to be made. Your sister still isn't responding. I don't know if... That's not my responsibility. I understand, I'm sorry for your loss. She hung up. I stood there holding the phone. My mother was dead. I waited for the grief to come. It didn't just... emptiness, and maybe a little relief that it was finally over. That I wouldn't have to wonder anymore if I'd made the right choice. That night I told my son. He took it quietly, nodded. Are we going to the funeral? Do you want to? He shook his head. No, then we won't. We didn't. I found out later through Facebook, someone I hadn't blocked shared it that the funeral was small. My sister was there, a few cousins, some church friends. The obituary mentioned me this time. Patricia Morrison, 76, is survived by her daughter Sarah, her son my name, and her 4 grandchildren. Generic, impersonal, like I was a footnote. I guess I was. My sister sent one final email afterward, got through because it came from a different address. Subject line, you should be ashamed. I deleted it without reading. Blocked that address too, and that was it. The end of a chapter I'd closed years ago. My son graduated high school with honors, got accepted to 3 good universities, chose one 6 hours away. Not too far, but far enough to be independent. The day I dropped him off at college, we unloaded his stuff into his dorm room, met his roommate, a kid from Ohio who seemed nice enough. When it was time for me to leave, we stood in the parking lot. You going to be okay? I asked. Yeah, Dad, I'll be fine. Call me if you need anything. I will. He hugged me tight. Thanks, he said. For what? For everything, for always being there, for choosing me. I felt tears prickling at my eyes. I'll always choose you. He pulled back, smiled. I know. I got in my car, drove away, watched him get smaller in the rearview mirror until I turned the corner and he disappeared. And I thought about everything we'd been through, the betrayal. The anger, the healing, the building of a new life, just the 2 of us. I thought about my parents, about my sister, about the family I'd lost, and I realized I didn't regret a single thing. Because my son was happy, healthy, whole, he knew he was loved, he knew he mattered, he knew he was enough. And that was worth more than any reconciliation, worth more than keeping the peace. Worth more than holding on to people who'd never really held on to us. I drove home to an empty house, ordered takeout, sat on the couch. And for the first time in years, I let myself think about what might have been. If they just brought him inside, if they just included him, if they just chosen him too. But they didn't. And I did, and that made all the difference. Years later, I'm sitting in that same house. My son is 25 now, has a good job, a serious girlfriend, talks about maybe getting engaged soon. He calls every week, visits on holidays, brings his girlfriend to meet me, we're close. Closer than most fathers and sons I know. He tells me things about his life, his fears, his dreams. And I listen, I'm there, always have been, always will be. Sometimes he mentions that day, the day in the parking lot, not often, but sometimes. He says it taught him something important. That love is a choice. That family isn't just about blood, it's about who shows up, who protects you, who chooses you when it matters. I think about my parents sometimes. Wonder what they would think if they could see him now, see the man he became, see what we built together, but mostly I don't. They made their choice, I made mine, and I'd make it again. Every single time, because at the end of the day, I didn't lose my family when I cut off my parents. I saved it. I saved my son, I saved us, and that's all that matters. The doorbell rings. I get up to answer it. It's my son, unannounced visit, big smile on his face. Hey Dad, surprise. Hey bud, what are you doing here? Just wanted to see you, that okay? I smile. Always. He comes inside, we sit, we talk, we laugh, and I'm reminded once again that I made the right choice. Because this right here is family, this is what matters, this is enough. The end.